We've had a hell of a couple of weeks, but I did get some exciting news this weekend. According to a new poll from YouGov, which is a serious polling site, or they were before this, I am more popular than the President of the United States.
Okay, let me just read this here. Donald Trump walked into an arena that holds 20,000 people and 19,999 people were so happy. And then there was Bill Burr's wife. Yeah, and I love how people are like, oh, how can you do that? It's like, well, he's racist. He likes to sort of plagiarize some Hitler stuff every once in a while. Like, what is surprising that a black woman wouldn't like him? I don't like the guy. My wife giving him the finger is what I love about my wife. Do you know where you stand with her? And you can't say that about a lot of people.
Comedy season is in full swing, and Jimmy Kimmel and Bill Burr have joined forces for the ultimate roast. Their target, the man who treats humility like it's contagious and honesty like a bad business deal. Trump's been so focused on turning politics into showbiz that the Oval Office now feels like a TV studio. Kimmel lands the first blow, Burr delivers the knockout, and what's left of Trump's ego could fit in a shot glass made for ants.
Well, I have some bad news. Our government is now officially shut down because we don't have funding to pay the workers. Trump really is running the country like it's one of his businesses. He said he would. Just to give you some perspective, the government being shut down is even worse than when it's up.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Kimmel jumps right in, describing Trump as a man who thinks volume equals intelligence. Listening to him speak, Kimmel says, is like watching a blender try to give a TED Talk. Loud, messy, and guaranteed to end in disaster. Burr follows up, calling Trump's confidence the eighth wonder of the world. Amazed at how someone can be so certain, yet so consistently wrong. Together, they turn his press briefings into tragic comedies, where reason disappears before the cameras even start rolling.
Later, that tried to viciously attack the president this week. Have you been enjoying Trump's most ridiculous distraction from the Epstein files yet? The president claims he's the victim of a triple sabotage during his visit to the United Nations building in New York on Tuesday. The teleprompter wasn't working, there were issues with the sound system, and most nefariously of all, his escalators.
They dive straight into Trump's obsession with crowd sizes, the sequel no one asked for. He could be standing in an empty field and still claim millions were cheering. Kimmel jokes that Trump measures success by how many flags he waves per sentence, while Burr adds that the only wall he ever built was the one separating him from reality. It's a roast that doesn't even need fire. Trump's own words keep it burning. Fire.
Front of the effect of the shutdown, it will be felt right here in New York. To punish you for disliking him, Trump is putting $18 billion worth of New York City infrastructure projects, like the new rail tunnels under the Hudson and the 2nd Avenue subway project, on hold to make sure the money isn't being used to support DEI.
Then they move on to Trump's favorite topic, the economy, his accidental trophy. Burr compares it to a Jenga tower built from tweets and wishful thinking. Kimmel chimes in, reminding everyone that when things started falling apart, Trump blamed everyone but himself, the Fed, the media, maybe even the moon. Burr jokes that if Trump's business record were a movie, it'd be Titanic. Except he'd be bragging about how great the iceberg was for ratings.
That's not a sane human being. I would have been on the ground crying in the fetal position like, all right, give me the truck. I don't want this job anymore. But Trump's got all those weird, coming out. I think the guy couldn't get like a bead on him, And like right as he pulled the trigger, Trump was just like, and Sleepy Joe, and the bullet went by his head.
They don't spare his battles with the media either. Kimmel says Trump has turned fake news into a magic trick that makes every inconvenient fact vanish. Burr adds, Trump treats journalists like toddlers treat vegetables. If he doesn't like it, it must not exist. Together, they point out that the press was never his real enemy. Reality was. And reality keeps beating him every time.
It says they think it was Trump's own videographer that accidentally kicked a safety mechanism, but Agatha Christie and his team of defective detectives, they do not believe it. They are on the case. This was not just a minor incident. This was a harrowing escape.
Trump and Melania were riding it up, and it just stopped. Thankfully, the First Lady and the President had their hands on the rail as they were going up the escalator.
I've never known an escalator to be stopped. I go on escalators all the time. That's when I'm happiest, on an escalator.
Kimmel calls Trump's social media habit the most chaotic diary in presidential history, saying he tweets like he's racing against sleep. Burr jokes that if Trump ever lost his phone, he'd start sending executive orders by skywriting. The mix of insecurity and Wi-Fi has turned him into the world's most powerful internet troll. Kimmel says it's like watching an emperor live stream his own breakdown. Burr then tears into Trump's obsession with his image, joking that he styles his hair the same way he runs the country, with confusion and denial. Every breeze is a crisis, and every camera angle a threat. Kimmel adds that Trump's hair has gone through more twists than his policies. Together, they call his presidency the first where every week feels like a season finale. Burr sums it up best. Keeping up with his scandals is like memorizing a song that keeps changing its lyrics. Chaos, they say, isn't his problem. It's his brand.
But he made a major announcement. I am ordering my administration to declassify and release all government records related to Amelia Earhart. Her final tip and everything else about her. Thank you for your attention to this matter. We had no attention to that matter.
Foreign policy is Burr's favorite target. He jokes that Trump treats diplomacy like a comedy gig, insulting allies, flattering dictators, and calling it strategy. Kimmel adds that his version of peace talks sounds like a bad Yelp review, loud, self-centered, and completely unhelpful. They say Trump's handling of world affairs makes a middle school group project look like the United Nations. The environment gets roasted too. Kimmel points out that Trump treats climate change like a rumor invented by liberals, while Burr says he probably thinks pollution is just patriotism floating in the air. Together, they joke that Trump's real environmental plan is simply to outlive the planet. They both agree that in Trump's world, facts aren't facts. They're just suggestions that didn't vote for him. Then, Kimmel moves on to Trump's rallies, calling them therapy sessions disguised as patriotism. His favorite place to be worshipped like a pop star performing for mirrors. Burr adds that it's the only place he can still believe his own legend, surrounded by fans clapping on cue. Every rally, they say, is just a louder, angrier remix of the same speech. Familiar, chaotic, and somehow even less coherent each time.
I'll be honest with you, I can't believe Trump didn't win this thing like 4 months ago. I know that's weird for younger people to hear, but when I was a kid, if you were running for president and you got shot and you didn't die, that was the end of the election. There was nothing you could say. Everybody would just be like, this guy's the man. He is the king. I'll be honest with you, I think the #1 reason like Trump survived is all those herky-jerky.
Next, they tackle Trump's obsession with loyalty. Kimmel compares it to a cult that lost track of its purpose halfway through, while Burr says Trump demands devotion from everyone, but never gives it back. From his cabinet to his interns, everyone's disposable, except the man who thinks he's untouchable. It's loyalty theater, starring Trump as both the director and the only audience member still clapping. Kimmel then mocks Trump's love-hate relationship with celebrities, calling it a drama written entirely in all caps. He craves their approval but hates that they outshine him. Burr adds that Trump name-drops Hollywood like a teenager desperate to sound popular. They laugh about how his confidence grew as the country panicked. Every press briefing felt like a game show reveal gone wrong, turning leadership into pure performance art. Finally, they dive into his legal chaos, joking that Trump's court cases make law and order look like a bedtime story. Kimmel quips that it's amazing how one man can treat subpoenas like spam emails. Delete, deny, and pretend they never existed.
She walks on it, it stops, she turns around to the president, and she just leads the president up and walks. So she was unfazed by it. But this could have been a massive issue. And you know, the president being frozen there in one place makes him vulnerable.
Yeah. Unless he can walk, then they act like they dropped him into shark-infested waters. It was an escalator. You know what another word for frozen escalator?
Burr jokes that Trump treats the Constitution like just another deal he can renegotiate. Together, they paint a picture of a president juggling court dates and campaign rallies, turning accountability into a spectator sport. Kimmel cracks that. Trump's relationship with the truth is the longest breakup in U.S. history, while Burr says he treats honesty the way most people treat the dentist, avoiding it until there's no other choice. They describe his statements as interpretive dances where meaning doesn't matter and accuracy doesn't exist. Trump doesn't just twist reality, he shatters it. When it comes to diplomacy, they say it's all flattery and confusion. A chaotic performance where no one's sure who's actually negotiating. Then they take aim at Trump's family circle. Kimmel calls it a White House version of Succession, just without the competence. And Burr adds that nepotism might be the only true bipartisan policy of his administration. Every press conference, they joke, feels like a family reunion where everyone's fighting for camera time. Under Trump, the Oval Office stopped feeling like a government hub. It turned into the set of a reality show with inherited roles and scripted drama.
Have you been notified by Trump to interview Trump? Would you interview Trump?
No, and I wouldn't interview a Democrat either.
Yeah.
I don't want to know those people. My job is to make fun of them.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, the same thing with an award show. Why the fuck would you ever host an award show? Your job as a comic is to make fun of an award show. Why would you go there?
I know.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. I mean, if that's something you want to do, because that is a big.
And some people are good at it. Some people
there we
are
go.
good
We
at
bought it back.
Yeah.
We bought it back.
Yeah.
Kimmel jokes that Trump claims victory over everything, even gravity if he could. Burr adds, it's like watching someone celebrate winning a marathon they never ran. Every loss becomes a conspiracy. Every failure someone else's fault. They agree that Trump's real skill isn't leadership, it's storytelling, though the plot never makes sense. Then comes Trump's favorite myth, Infrastructure Week. Kimmel calls it the political Bigfoot. Everyone heard about it, no one ever saw it. Burr adds it was the most ambitious unbuilt project since Trump's own business empire. What was once a policy goal is now a running joke about promises that aged worse than old campaign hats. They move on to Trump's habit of replaying his greatest hits. Kimmel says he's like a singer stuck performing the same song, convinced it's still a chart topper. Burr points out his entire strategy boils down to 3 words: insult, deny, distract. It works only because outrage fuels his fame, and he's addicted to the applause it brings. When they circle back to his rallies, they focus on the irony. A man obsessed with being adored who can't handle being questioned. It's not about legacy anymore, it's about ego maintenance. Finally, they take on the border wall, calling it the most expensive metaphor in history. Kimmel sums it up perfectly. The only construction project that cost billions and still couldn't keep reality out.
You remember the guy who keeps saying I have no ratings? Well, that makes 2 of us. They polled more than 1,000 people, and I lead Trump by 16 points. I'm at +3, he's at -13. It's nice, but it feels like, considering the fact that I'm not a convicted felon friend of Jeffrey Epstein, and I've never paid off a porn star or sent a team of masked goons into a park to pull an old lady away from her grandchildren, I feel like my rating should be higher, maybe, than at this point finding
Burr jokes that Trump sold the wall like a superhero cape for national security, but all it really did was block logic. Each brick, they say, became a monument to stubbornness, a wall built more from theater than purpose. They tear into Trump's contradictions, mocking how the self-proclaimed genius surrounds himself with constant chaos. Kimmel calls it leadership by lottery, random, dramatic, and always self-serving. Burr adds, if competence were contagious, Trump would still test negative. They turn his inconsistency into a running gag, saying unpredictability was his only consistent trait. Kimmel circles back to Trump's speeches, describing them as abstract art. Lots of color, no meaning. Burr compares them to fortune cookies written by a broken robot. Each topic bleeds into the next until no one, including Trump, remembers the question. And when the nation needs empathy, they note he sees a ratings opportunity instead. Kimmel calls it emotional minimalism, because the only things smaller than Trump's attention span are his sense of responsibility and his ability to care.
Dude, he is the greatest shit talker of all time. He sat at like $100,000 breakfast while the president trashed him. Humiliated.
This is a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I'm jumping around.
White House Correspondents' Dinner, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for giving it structure.
Yeah.
Humiliated the guy.
Right.
My wife would love you. You should sit next to me during brunch. She never knows what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sits there, the guy totally trashes him. He's absolutely humiliated. And within like 2-3 years, he had that guy's job.
Right.
So you could never talk
You could never talk shit to him. Going, hey, Donald, you know, one time I was in a bar and this guy came in, oh, really? One time I was sitting, I paid $100,000 for breakfast. The President Trump, what the hell's his name? Barack?
Obama.
Yeah, Obama.
Yeah. I'm giving you structure now.
Yeah.
Obama.
He trashed me. 2 years later, I had a fucking job.
They poke fun at Trump's golf trips, calling them the most consistent policy of his presidency. Kimmel jokes that Trump treats running the country like a side hobby between rounds, while Burr adds that the only wall he's ever built properly is the one surrounding his golf courses. They laugh that if hard work were measured in swings, Trump would be the hardest working man in America. Then they move to his endless rallies, campaign events that never stopped, even after he took office. Kimmel says Trump has been running for re-election since the moment he was sworn in, and Burr adds he's less a president and more his own brand ambassador. Together, they point out how he turned politics into personal marketing, transforming the White House into the world's priciest billboard. Trump dreamed of being remembered in marble, but instead, he's being immortalized in memes. Kimmel and Burr don't just roast him. They underline a bigger truth. Satire thrives when reality becomes too loud to ignore. The roast may end, but the laughter doesn't. Because as long as Trump keeps talking, the jokes keep writing themselves.